This fecund, fertile, frothy heap of fermented compost. And me, living, dying, turning, steaming, stinking, fermenting, and transforming. And you might be wondering, what's a nice compost pile like this doing here anyway? Well, we should start with Gertrude Stein. Gertrude Stein was a thoroughly modern American writer and art collector living in Paris in the early 1900s. Stein was famous for her artist salons, attracting the likes of Picasso, Matisse, Ernest Hemingway, and F. Scott Fitzgerald. Well, in 1923, Stein was invited by Oxford University to present a lecture entitled Composition as Explanation. The composition is the thing seen by everyone living in the living they are doing. They are the composition at the time they are living, in the composition of the time in which they are living. It is that makes living the thing they are doing. They are conducting life, and that makes their composition what it is. It makes their work compose as it does. Dear Gertrude, your composition as explanation inspires me to confabulate all the sticky stuff of my time and my life, and in birth and death, in sickness and in health, I propose decompositions as explanation, razlagania. And in these decompositions, I'm going to decompose my life, in which I normally farm flowers, make theater, organize human beings, raise a teenage son, fundraise, feed people, all the while keeping it together, although I do lose my glasses everywhere, But I just laugh it off, to stay calm, to stay cool, to stay collected, to stay composed. In these decompositions, I am going to make the space to undo it all. I am going to disorder in order to reorder, because like you, dear Gertrude, I want to disrupt. I want to disorder in order to reorder, because I want to give myself over to the fungal, to the microbial, to the scavenging processes of life. What does it feel like to change, to get broken down, to become humus? I mean human. On this composting heap, it's just me. A common eukaryote, one of millions, no billions, no trillions of nematodes, bacteria, and fungi on this compost. In this place, it's just me, here now, oddly balanced on this pile of rotten in this funny life that I am in the middle of, in the between of life and death, sickness and health, in reinvention and resurrection. On this composting heap, it's just me, a common eukaryote, one of millions, no billions, no trillions of nematodes, bacteria, fungi on this compost. In this place, it's just me and you, here, now. Are you ready? Decomposition number 1. Germination. Plianje. Plianje, da? Life begins from a seed, a cell, an egg. If we go back 2 billion years ago, we know, thanks to evolutionary microbiologist Lynn Margulis, that single-celled organisms form symbiotic relationships with certain bacteria in a process, a miraculous happening called symbiogenesis. And that life began not through competition, but cooperation. I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, the coldest city along the Trans-Canada Highway. My mother had 4 daughters in 5 years, and my brother Jason 5 years later. My father was a high school history teacher. Okay, what color was Napoleon's white horse? Do you know the answer? Yes, perfect. My father loved everything about the weather, disco dance, and Louis Riel. And if you don't know who he is, you should look him up. My mother was a 5'1" white tornado of cooking, cleaning, and discipline. She sewed all our own clothes, even our blue jeans. And my grandparents lived next door, Polish immigrant farmers who tilled across both backyards and put in a huge garden, and I can still smell her cabbage rolls, her sarma. My mother had me pegged as the dramatic one, because she would always say to me, "Tannis, get off the stage." Sorry. No. Life, no matter how it happens, is a miracle. My son, Simon, was born July 2008. Another dramatic entrance. It was a full moon, 36 hours of a failed home birth, emergency room C-section, but he came out nonetheless. with the longest fingernails the doctors had ever seen. I blame the kale. Life, no matter how it happens, is a miracle. Starting a family, a delphinium plant, this theater performance, our farm, is a wondrous act of labor. I fell in love with a visionary organic farmer who made a mean potato gratin, and he spoke perfect French. And so, for 9 months out of the year, I can be found growing flowers on our organic vegetable farm in Pennsylvania. From February to March, I plant thousands of seeds into trays of seed starter soil, like this. And if the insects and the birds and the damping off disease don't get them, those seedlings, they're going to sprout. Can I get a hallelujah? Voila. And these seeds sprout, and I plant out thousands of seedlings into over an acre of flower fields. The great ecofeminist Vandana Shiva, she says, organic farmers are the last free people on earth because they control their own seed. I love growing flowers. I love cutting flowers. I love making the bouquets. I love selling our flowers at market. I actually never tire of flowers, and I know how lucky I am to love something so much. But one more thing about a flower. So, a flower, or an angiosperm, when it makes the flower, that means it's getting ready to create a seed so it can carry forth its next generation. So a flower is at the end of its life. It is an aria in its last act. Decomposition number 2. Breaking down. Deconstruction. Behold this compost. Behold it well. But what is compost? And why should we even care? Well, say I take this flower and I put it on this compost pile. The flower is going to begin to evaporate moisture. Soon insects and soil fauna are going to eat it and break the carcass down. And then fungus and bacteria are going to digest it even further. All the while, earthworms are aerating the soil because this whole process needs oxygen. And what we have left is a beautiful, nutrient-rich soil called humus, ready to grow a new flower. So humus is always decomposing and composing at the same time. Humus, radix verbi ad hominem. Humus is the Latin word for soil and earth. Humus is radix verbi ad hominem. Humus is also the Latin word for human, humility, and humor. Okay, I have a joke. What does this compost pile and a 58-year-old tractor have in common?
What?
They're always breaking down. Thank you. But seriously, folks, according to Jerome Rodale of the Rodale Institute, if we did not have the composting process, we would get a buildup of biomass so deep, we would literally drown in ourselves. Think about it. 7 billion people's waste, all the dead bodies. 165,000 people die every day around the world. That's a lot of dead bodies. So, whether you are a flower, a human, or last night's spaghetti dinner, compost is your grand finale. I don't like birds. They frighten me. I said, I don't like birds. They frighten me. It's the flapping of the wings. It's a thing so fragile and violent as the flapping of the wings. Oh, birds, swallows that swoop to kill. Birds and bats that get into my house. Buzzing in the blinds, buzzing in the curtains. Birds that fall down my warm wood stovepipe, landing in the belly of my stove, hopping on one good leg. Let me out! Let me out! Airplanes that fall from the sky in my dream, and I can't run fast enough. And my grandmother, Albina Skinder, who always said to me, "Patak vodomo to svisak." Bird in house is no good, Taneshka. Decomposition number 3. M nature. M природа. Theater. Theater has always allowed me to become whomever I wanted to be. As a child, I was a relentless playmaker. As a teenager, I got all the roles in the high school musicals, The Boyfriend, Bells Are Ringing. And as a young actress, I got my equity card, my professional card, doing a Brecht musical at the Globe Theatre in Saskatchewan, Canada. But for most of my life, I've been a member of a small theatre ensemble, Primus Theatre in Canada, North American Cultural Laboratory in New York City, and now Farm Arts Collective on my farm in Pennsylvania. And with all of these theater companies, I have had opportunities to create roles in countless performances. Well, a few years ago, I had a great idea that I should play her, but let me tell you, I will never play her again. And I will tell you why. Okay, it was 2020, the pandemic was in full swing, and Farm Arts Collective decided we would forge ahead and do play number 1 in our decalogue of climate change plays called Dream on the Farm. Well, that year, a series of bizarre incidents occurred that made me wonder if perhaps the real Emperora was angry at me for my vanity to try to play her. Incident number 1. I was cutting zinnias one midsummer's day when something buzzing curled into my ear. Voila! I was cutting zinnias one midsummer's day when something buzzing flew into my ear. I flicked and flapped under straw hat, but to my dismay, this process caused the bug to burrow deeper. Sound of buzzing, scratching echoed deep in my head. Pain of panicked insect freaking out. My friends, I cried, look in and tell me, what's this all about? Oh my God, they said, we see its legs. They're wiggling. They drove me to the barn and cried, a sharp vacuum to my ear. I cried, stop, I need to dunk my head and drown that bug until he's dead, 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 dead. Breathe. Breathe. Surrounded by a small circle of concerned farmers, I wait what seems an eternity until my husband sees the head of that insect and extracts a large, bloated Japanese beetle. In the book, The Passion According to G.H., the protagonist, another role I played, encounters a cockroach in her home. Her initial revulsion towards the cockroach is replaced with empathy. And in the novel's infamous climax, G.H. dissolves the final boundary between herself and the bug by eating the cockroach's innards. Me? Incident number 2. Okay, we're back at our farm. Our play is about to open. And suddenly, out of nowhere, the loudest, meanest, most violent wind whips up out of nowhere. I yell to my company, run! Run for cover! Get under the barn! And we wait and we watch as our greenhouse theater begins to billow and stretch and shake. And I say, what have we done? What have we done to provoke such a tempest? Now, if you didn't know, theater people are very superstitious, especially before an opening night. So in theater, they say never whistle. They say never say Shakespeare's Scottish play. They say never wear blue on stage. Although Ellen Stewart, she said don't wear green. Grotowski said don't wear purple. So if you're following any of these experimental theater traditions, your sets can be very boring. Oh, another thing Ellen Stewart said, don't buy a new pair of shoes before you open, which I totally follow. And no mirrors on stage. No 3 candles lit on stage. And always leave your ghost light on. Incident number 3. The show opened, the show closed, I got my new shoes, and I made my doctor appointment, which I always do after a show and farm season. Well, on October 17, I got the phone call. You know, the one you never want after a routine mammogram. The falling down the rabbit hole with the doctor's voice reverberating. Carcinoma, ma. Do you mean cancer? All right, M. Nature. You win. No more playing you. No more thinking about you. And I'm adding you to my list of theater superstitions. Because when I heard the C word, I became quite undone. She's come undone. She didn't know what she was headed for. And when she found what she was headed for, it was too late. She's come undone. She found a fountain that was far too high. And when she found out she couldn't fly, it was too late. It's too late. She's lost her son. She's come undone. Decomposition number 4, rot trulesh. My cancer was diagnosed as a papillary carcinoma in situ. In situ means the cancer did not spread, but it was also ER and PR positive, meaning estrogen and progesterone drive the cancer's growth. But I eat organic kapusta. It didn't matter. I had to have the surgery and radiation. Now I tried like I always do, to stay positive. After all, I had all the novels and Netflix and narcotics that a girl could want post-surgery. And radiation meant daily trips to my favorite town, Scranton, Pennsylvania, with a host of great friends. And everybody in radiation was extremely kind. They kept giving me pink knitted hats. I tried like I always do, to see the glass half full. But in truth, cancer was a rotten time. It was like the boogeyman came out of the closet and he stood there staring at me. And that kind of fear is uncomfortable, and it makes other people around you so uncomfortable. Because everybody knows, Cancer takes lives. I had just lost my best friend to cancer, to pancreatic cancer. His name was Care Wells. I don't know. I think Breast Cancer Awareness Month should be about talking about pain and vulnerability and your fear of death. Because sometimes when life gives you lemons, it's just fucking lemons. They cannot Are these digits also mine? Are these digits also mine? No other appendage gets me as down as these hands of mine. Hands down. Wait a second. So many things are better when they've aged. Wine, cheese, beef, kimchi, French actresses. But I just don't think my hands will ever be. Why North American women? Why do we have such a hard time dealing with our age? Okay, it's time for a pause. A menopause. Can I have some lights? Okay. First, tea. And Maya, I need to ask you to make a translation. It's okay? Okay. So, Bojan? Yeah. Bojan, take chamomile. No, you can take a tea. Okay. Bojan? Okay. So, now I would like to open this conversation to everybody and ask for people here to say words, phrases of what they know of menopause. Shout it into the sky. Shout it into the sky. Like, for me, I can't sleep.
Frustration.
Frustration. You can say in Serbian.
Moja mama kaže da je užasno.
My mother said it's terrible.
More, come on.
Nekontrolisano znojenje.
All the time sweating.
Sweating. Da. Brain fog. Memory.
Body change.
Fat belly.
Mood swings.
Mood swings. Da.
No
Okay.
babies anymore.
No more baby. You can't get pregnant. That's okay. Natural contraception. Okay, is that it? Stop?
More or less.
More or less. Okay, hvala. And now, back to regularly scheduled programming. I had a headache for a week. I ignored it. I was out cutting flowers in the flower field when suddenly my right anterior carotid artery became 100% occluded. That means blocked. Therefore, all the blood flow to the right side of my body stopped. Uh-oh. I started dropping my clippers, dropping my pail of flowers. I fell off my bicycle when I tried to ride it. I started to slur, and then I went limp. Hours later, lying in the hospital bed, pretty much paralyzed on my left side, although my right side still worked, the doctor said it was a... Oh, but I do yoga. It didn't matter. I got my movement back maybe in a week, and my finer movement and articulation after moving and dancing in the theater studio. But what was incredibly slow to come back was any feeling in the left side of my body, particularly my left hand, which made my already lousy accordion playing, it went to total shit. you've had a brush with your own mortality, that you might do things you wouldn't have done otherwise. Like create a theater performance about what it's like to be in the body of someone having a stroke, and then realizing that was the occupational therapy I needed all along. Or convincing your entire town to be in your play about climate change, including the mayor. Allons-y m'appelle, regarde le miracle de les morts fatigués. And I still have trouble finding the damn sea key. I think it's time for a puppet show.
Once upon a time, a flower farmer with very straight hair was taking a phone call at the edge of the woods. Hi, it's me. I have 20 trays of asters, 20 trays of sunflowers, and 20 trays of zinnias. It will be exactly what you need. Suddenly, a handsome spider approached and sat down beside her. Sorry, it's getting hard to hear you. Ouch! What in the world? 3 hours later, her hair began to curl, and soon her infected leg would grow 3 times its size. Hi, it's me again. I'm gonna bring you 20 dandelions, and then I'm going on vacation. It's exactly what I need. I love the beach. I just feel so free and happy here, and I love my new wavy hair. That morning, an incredibly fit jogger happened to pass by. Hey, lady, that leg is pretty big. You need to see a doctor, dude. I saw one on that golf course. Hey, we need a doctor here. Magically, an infectious disease doctor happened to appear from hole 17 on the golf course. Does somebody need a doctor? Oh, yes, lassie, your leg is quite large. It looks like you've been bitten by a brown or recluse spider. Why, your flesh is rotting, lassie. It's gone necrotic. You must take antibiotics to make it smaller again. The flower farmer listened to the doctor and took the medicine he prescribed. Yuck! I'm going swimming. When the flower farmer returned home from vacation, her leg had shrunk back to its normal size, and her hair had lost its curl, which made her very sad. Hi, it's me. 20 asters, 20 sunflowers, and 20 zinnias. Oh, bother. Something doesn't feel right. What do I do? Hello, Fern. How was your vacation? Well, it was the best time I've ever had. I was so happy. Hey, listen, Mr. Spider, I don't want to make any assumptions, but could you bite my leg again? Why would you want a giant rotten leg again? Well, it's not the leg so much as the wavy hair. Oh, well, you can have wavy hair anytime you like. Well, I also don't like number 20 anymore. I want to grow my flower trays in prime numbers like 19 and 37. Well, you can grow any number you like. Oh, that's also true. And I guess the giant leg was pretty inconvenient. Thank you, Spider. So long. Hi, it's me. I have just what you need. 17 snapdragons and 29 marigolds. And the farmer lived differently from then on.
Decomposition number 7, phosphorescence, Forensencia. It was sometime in the 90s, and the theater company that I was a member of, Primus Theater in Canada, we were invited to teach Inuit children, Eskimo children in northern Labrador, far northern eastern Canada. So my theater company boarded a twin-jet propellered plane, and one by one we were dropped off along the coast. Rigolette, Makovic, Hopedale, and Nain. I was stationed in Rigolette, at the home of one of the school teachers there. I loved Labrador. So cold. The sled dogs that would howl at night, the caribou meatballs, the soapstone carvings, and I fell under the spell of the aurora borealis. One day, the school teacher invites me to go on a boat ride with her to meet a friend of hers off the coast. So, we are going along the waters, and suddenly she turns off her engine and she says, "Look over there." And suddenly, this enormous black and white orca whale reaches up out of the sea, suspends itself for a moment, and slips back down. I look at the teacher. Wow. We continue along, and we come to a craggy shore, and there's a little house nestled in the trees. It was a blue house. And from the house came a very beautiful Inuit man, indigenous man, who said, "Come inside, come inside." And we went into his house, and he gave us hot tea, and we sipped the tea, and we listened to him telling us story after story, story of protector bears, stories of sea creatures from the sea, stories of snakes that would appear in his grandmother's house. And after every one of his stories, he would say, "Now, I don't believe in no ghosties, but..." My favorite story was when he was little. He was blueberry picking with his cousins on a place known for its magnetic pull. And they would get lifted up off the ground, pulled through the air, and drop down elsewhere. His stories, they did something to me. It's like they opened up my little door of disbelief. Because if children could fly through the air and drop blueberries, if whales could jump up out of the sea, what else was possible here? Now, I too don't believe in no ghosties. But was it you, Father, knocking in the wall the morning after your funeral as I brushed my teeth ready to go home? Was it you, Care, adjusting the lights at your own memorial? Was it you, Grandmother, moving my beet-stained hands as I attempted my first borscht without you? Where do we go when we go? Where do you go when you go? And how do you know the way? Where do you go when you go? Far away or just out of sight? Do you follow a light? Read a song? Processing. Obrada. I am preoccupied with obituaries. Reading the newspaper. I will barely get to the third and fourth headline when I instantly scroll down to see who died. Is this a COVID thing or an old people thing? Because I don't remember reading obituaries when I was 20 years old. But an obituary is a kind of a great read. It's an entire life in just 5 minutes. And so many amazing people are written about every day in every newspaper in every country around the world. What was it, 165,000 people die every day around the world. It's a lot of obituaries. The New York Times did a story called Overlooked, in which they wrote the obituaries of people, mostly women and people of color, whose obituaries went unreported in the New York Times. People like Clarice Lispector, the writer of the cockroach story. She died of ovarian cancer when she was my age. Ida B. Wells, a journalist who took on racism in the Deep South with powerful reportings on lynchings. Diane Arbus, a photographer whose stirring portraits captured generations. Marsha P. Johnson, a transgender pioneer who was a fixture of Greenwich Village street life. And Henrietta Lacks, have you heard of her? Cancer cells were taken from her body without permission, which led to a medical revolution. I have never written an obituary. I think the closest that I've come to writing an obituary is writing my resume. I mean, what a hopeless, futureless document is that. But if this compost were to write its own obituary, it would never just include the flowers and the lemons on top. No. It would also include in bright red ink its brilliant transforming future. It will become future salads and meals. It will become future weddings adorned with flowers. It will become feeding future trees from which your apples come to make your cider. No. Compost, even as obituary, it has hope. Bird in house is no good. Bird in house means a message is coming. Bird in house means a change is coming. Bird in house is a bad omen. Bird in house is a bad omen. Bird in house, it means smirt. When I was 4 years old, I came face to face with a bird. I was alone in my bedroom, and he appeared. It stares. I turn away. It's there. He was tall and thin, and he had long black wings that fell from his shoulders like a cape. It's her. small, so small. He reaches out with a long, bony, feathered finger, and he gently caresses my head, and he says, everything's going to be okay. On this composting heap, it's just me, a common eukaryote, one of millions, no billions, no trillions of nematodes, bacteria, and fungi. Dear Gertrude, give me the courage of that 4-year-old to face my darkest imaginable. Give me the courage, the confidence of this compost pile to change, to decompose, to rot, to transform. Let it happen. Let it happen. Let it happen. Let it happen. And am I born to die, to lay this body down, and must my trembling spirit fly into a world unknown, a land of deepest shade, unpierced by human thought, the dreary regions of the dead, where all things are for naught. What does it feel like to become humus? I mean human.